my caster and just kind of start dumpstering me
Yeah, you basically just need.
to calm down, to like
Well,
relax
right,
and
but what I'm saying is, when you do list checking, you know scenario first, right?
yes,
Okay. Only I would drop, or if you think they're gonna drop Butcher, chances are they're gonna
to
drop
like
Butcher in.
relax
Right,
and
but what I'm saying is, singles. Oh, hold on. When you do list checking, you know scenario first, right?
yes.
Okay, so chances are, um, knowing the scenario is a big thing. They're not probably not going to drop Butcher one in a scenario that has two zones that are far away or no kill box, because then you can just run away from him and not even have to worry about getting assassinated.
You mean Butcher 3, not Butcher 1.
I'm talking Butcher 3. Butcher 1 is more of a
No, you said
is
Butcher
all
1.
about
I
his
thought
feet.
you were
Oh,
talking about Butcher
sorry,
3.
I meant Butcher 3.
Okay.
Butcher 1 is more of a I. Oh, hello. I use my feet turn to kill stuff because it gives me an extra die on damage. That's Butcher 1. That's why he has a decent shot against Meat Mountain, because it gives everything an additional damage die. That's the only reason. But it's only a feet turn. So if he doesn't do enough damage in feet turn, you're fine. Um,
But Butcher 3 is kind of what I'm hoping I see. That's what I'm hoping for.
okay, so yeah, against Butcher 3, I wouldn't drop it in a single zone kill box scenario. That'd be your worst option, because that just makes it so that you have to come forward and you have to contest the single one zone, which Butcher 3 would love. He would love it. He'd be thrilled with that.
I still think I can, as long as I can hold him up, because
Well,
I haven't. I'm
okay.
not.
You know
It's
what
not
Butcher can do?
bad as
You know what
it.
Butcher can do?
I
Butcher
know what he can do.
can pull whole units to him and just flashing blade and chop him to bits. You can't hold him up long enough.
But if he does that and he doesn't kill it,
If he doesn't kill it,
he's Mondo in
yeah. If
in
he
the
doesn't
pooper.
kill it, you want to know? You want to know how he's gonna kill it? Since he's playing against hordes, he's gonna have Silence of Death on his weapon. You're not gonna get any tough rolls, so that's out of the equation. Then he'll have 5, because he's probably not gonna give any to his Jack. Because why should he? There's really no point.
And don't forget the bomber. I can throw my bombs at him too. At the butcher.
Great. Good luck trying to hit the Butcher with his 14 defense, possibly more if he's using terrain to his advantage.
Terrain. Most of the time in big tournaments, you don't see a lot of terrain used to your advantage,
Well, then maybe people
especially in
should.
kill box.
Well, then people should. But anyway,
Hey guys.
you know what I'm saying. Like, chances are, yeah, you get one hit, he's probably sitting on at least 3 focus, because most of the time he doesn't use it all. So he's going to be like armor 21. So yeah, you can boost and do some damage, but he's gonna kill. He's gonna kill that stuff. It's not really a if he doesn't kill it, he's a power plus strength 16 weapon master that gets to attack every single one of them for 1 focus. He's gonna kill him. Mat 9. He's gonna kill him.
He's gonna die.
He's gonna kill him.
He's gonna die.
A lot of Butcher 3 players will bring a Demolisher. Base to base. He doesn't suffer the blast damage, whatever.
Oh,
Can't
so
draw line of sight to him. Stuff like that. Know what I mean?
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah. I mean, it's a thing that
I
happens.
might. I mean, I might drop Jarl. I'll bring in Jarl too. I might drop it.
Okay, well, there you go. Anyway, let me get Thomas here on the Skype call, since he is on now. Let's add to group call. Oh.
Bum, bum.
Let's add a title
Hey.
here. Hey, how's it going?
What's up, Thomas?
How you guys doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
Hanging in
How's
there.
that instance going?
Yeah, we almost just wiped, but we're almost done.
Oh, nice.
Almost the last
Good, good.
boss.
Let's get Thomas's his delicious little title here. Oh,
Can you guys hear me?
yeah.
Okay,
Basically, as long
can
as no one
adjust
else
my
talks,
camera.
we can hear you.
Okay, cool. I had my sound kind of low because
Why do I
Oh,
feel
wow.
like my camera is really off?
You're fine, but trust me. Here, let me send Thomas or do a chat here, and this is the stream, so that you can answer questions in the chat when you get done with your instance.
cool. Yeah, we're on the last pull before the final boss.
Which instance in WoW is it?
It's called Everbloom. It's one of
Nice.
the,
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I played Warlords of Draenor for a little bit.
yeah, yeah. So I'm doing just my daily. Gives you garrison resources.
Sounds cool.
Do it.
Yeah, nerds, right? Nerds it up.
We are all nerds. We all cannot say that we're not nerds.
Yeah.
True.
So
So,
anywho,
John, in complete honesty, no, I haven't watched the video yet. It's because I'm a dork. But that
Reported.
right. That being said, there were changes I needed to make to the list anyway, and I kind of talked to you about them already.
Are you talking about the Menoth list?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very proud of you.
I don't know if I should be proud of me or not. I mean, I'm having a good time, but
It's okay, Thomas. Just let go.
it's okay, Thomas. I've been telling.
Just join the dark side, Thomas. We have cake.
I've basically been telling everyone that you. It was like the game we played last week was like if Mike Tyson fought an infant, where I'm the infant and you were Mike Tyson.
it really wasn't that bad. You're making me sound better than I am.
I don't know, man. Like it was pretty good.
I really
Thomas
thought
is
for a little
embarrassed.
bit that I was gonna get wrecked, dude. Like I really, I looked at you, I looked at what you had, and I was like, I don't think I can beat what he has. I'm gonna lose.
It's John, though. Everybody can beat John.
I'm a good player.
What'd you say?
I said you're a good player.
Right. But
I just was. I mean, you were playing a cavalry list that you admitted that you had only played a couple times, so.
yeah, but
Oh, the excuse is coming out of John over there. Only
no, I just said yeah, but like so I don't know what
It
you're
wasn't
using.
an excuse. Yeah.
Relish in it, Thomas. Enjoy your victory.
You know what I and I told this to John. What I like about Warmachine is that you can. It's the more. It's like playing chess a little bit.
It's
And I
advanced
really
chess.
appreciate that. Yeah. And I like it. I like it for that. The thing that I dislike is that it doesn't flow like I felt like fifth edition did this too, but other people might disagree with me. I feel like 40K feels more like you're playing like you're in a war, right? Like your models are in a war against each other, and that's not something I necessarily feel about Warmachine. Not in a bad way or anything. It's just a different flavor.
I would agree that, like, you're right, it's not a war feeling, but I definitely get the sense of when I'm playing Warmachine, like, this is a small battle of a war. You know what I mean? Like they're trying to cut off my supply line kind of thing, and I'm, like, stopping them, or I'm attacking, you know what I mean?
I can see what you're saying. I just don't. The way the game is structured doesn't lend itself to that, in my opinion.
I like the overall feel that, you're right, though, I agree with you on the chess part. Like, it's advanced chess. There's counters all over the place. Like, you could still win the game even when you're behind, you know, et cetera, to it. And I think that's why I like it a lot, is it makes me think, like, strategically, like, 5 steps ahead.
Yeah, and I definitely like that about the game.
And we've already talked about in this, like, the differences between 40K and Warmachine, and why I like Warmachine better than 40K and stuff, so we don't have to get into that.
Well,
But let's talk about that new Blood Angel book, Thomas.
okay, yeah, New Blood Angels.
Just initial thoughts. What do you think?
Going into it, the one thing that I was really upset about, like, I mean, I could blow the rest of it off and be like, okay, I'm a reactionary, 40K player that doesn't really like change. The same with every codex.
Okay.
But I hated the fact that they were taking assault troops away from them.
Okay.
I mean, people's counter argument to that, of course, is going to be every time, oh, well, now with, the Force Org or lack thereof or whatever, you don't have to have to worry about that. And yeah, sure, you're right. You don't really have to worry about that. But I came from playing 5th edition or whatever, and I'm never gonna change the initial love that I have for 40K and the way that I initially played it and how I got that. And so there is some things about 40K about the lack of the Force org that that doesn't really exist in 7th edition. Even when you play with a battle-forged army, and that I think that they've lost. I think that's a loss to the game overall. But anyway, other than that, having going in, seeing the rumors and stuff, I didn't think anything that was going to be really bad. After the codex, what I like the fill. I like what they're trying to do, where I feel like it's possible to bring it back as an assault army. I've played against it 3 times now, and what I can say about it is that I brought a kind of what I call a balanced, what I found to be my balanced Space Marine list, and I just kind of beat it into the ground right now. So I think that it's not you can't press an I win button with anything in that codex. You definitely have to. You have to build, and you have to think smart, because no matter what you do, you're still going to have at least one round where they get to shoot you before you can charge them. Whether you bring a drop pod army, whether you're using Razorback Rhino Rush, or jump packing across the table at them. Any combination thereof, you still have it. You still have the problem of that everyone's faced in 7th edition, which is that a gunline army will get that shot. I think that it will have a really great, I haven't played against the Tau army, obviously, with it, because I haven't played it. I've played against it. And I think that it will do really well against Tau. I think it will do well against IG. I think that we'll probably still have problems against Eldar, because Eldar will be like, well, okay, here we are, but then we're not here anymore. And yes, the Space Marines can fly after them, or these Space Marines are fast and can go after them quickly. But if you're in a drop pod army, drop pods and Rhino Rush, you still have that problem of either lack of mobility once you hit the table, or having to wait a turn before you can assault once you get out of your ride. Jump packers, yeah, maybe they'll be able to do it, but I think that the jump packing army is obviously the problem they have is they have the fewest models, because the models cost more, because you have to pay for jump packs on everything. And it also has they're out in the open. They don't have any protection, right? So they're going to be fired at the whole time.
One thing that I saw in the new book, it's kind of a positive and a negative, is the ball strike force, the detachment.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I have a good. It's great. No, it has a good rule set. You get the +1 initiative on the charge, but it's the best option. If you don't run that, you're stupid. You know what I mean?
I haven't really seen the other books. I've looked at the Dark Eldar one, for instance, right? But I think that the Ball Strike Force is one of those more so than any of the other books that have come out with that formation. The Force order in the back that you want to just play no matter what.
Give the +1 initiative, because everyone's gonna run this Ball Strike Force. Everyone's gonna do it.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, frankly, because of the fact that they can't take Assault Marines as troops, they're going to just minimize their troops to 2 5-man scout squads or 2 5-man tactical squads, and not worry about having objective secured anyway.
Exactly. So that's why I thought it was kind of a negative one as well. From a balance standpoint, what I saw from the book is it looks kind of balanced, actually, from the rules standpoint. It doesn't look over, like Thomas said, there's no instant win button. There's no overpowered I'm awesome. I mean, I think I saw you could put Astaroth with a unit of Terminators, or Death Company.
Death Company.
And hit wounds, feel no pain, kind of make a Death Star unit out of them.
Man, it's not a Death Star. I played against it twice now. it's got the same problem. I mean, it has the same saves it had before, at 3+, 5+, you know. But Astaroth is I mean, he came down in points quite a bit, which is great, but he's got the same problem he had before, where he strikes at initiative 1, and any old guy that can insta squish him before he gets to swing, all he's got is a 2+, 4+. So
when you were playing against the Millennials, what was their average model count on the table? Have you played against the jump infantry list yet?
Yeah. The first my buddy played. He had big units, which was a problem, right? He played a couple of Death Star style units. He had Dante, a librarian, a sanguinary priest. He brought 2 detachments, and with a bunch of sanguinary guard, because sanguinary guard can now be up to 10 guys per squad or whatever. So he had like a 9-man squad. So he was this fat, very expensive kind of Death Star-esque squad, and I just ate him alive with a 3-man Centurion unit.
But how many models did he have overall on the table?
Well, obviously everything got cheaper, so
that's what I mean.
So he had more models than a previous Blood Angel army would have had.
Was it enough?
No. But his problem, I think, was definitely the fact that and this was something that I've said to both the different guys that I played. I played one guy twice, and then my other buddy once, and they both have this kind of, well, look at all the cool stuff I can bring syndrome, and I think it's just it's a new codex, and so they're kind of getting a feel for it, trying to figure it out, and the new codex syndrome problem that they had was that they immediately were like, well, I'm gonna just bring all this cool stuff, and the problem with doing just all the cool stuff is it doesn't, it may not work, and obviously in this case it didn't work because they had too much of their eggs in a single basket, in my opinion. So, in my opinion, and I don't know how it works out in the high-end tournaments, because I haven't played one for a long time now, at least a long time now, in consideration of the way how quickly the game has been changing. But if you're going to play an assault army, it feels like to me that you need to have some durable stuff, durable units, but you need to have a lot of them, so that somebody can't just be like, okay, well, I'm going to spend all my firepower on that one unit, right? And
so
they didn't have enough separate models.
Okay.
They had like 40 or 50, the list had 40 or 50 Marines, right? It had a good number of Space Marines for like a Space Marine army. In fact, I don't remember the exact count, but it's possible they outnumbered me model-wise. But it just was the too much stacked into single units, and frankly the Filmo Pain doesn't make up for it. It's not enough when there's so many things that can put out such a high number of shots that it doesn't matter what your armor save is, or B, still a good number of shots that ignore armor. So yeah.
Well, I agree with you 100% on what you're saying. This is why I thought the book was going to have problems.
Well, I think that they've tried to do a good job to make it so that it could be an assault, bring back assault in some ways, but I don't think that obviously the right mix has been out yet. I think that obviously will take playtesting among whatever group of players and whatever meta that you are playing in. In my local, quote unquote, local meta, we end up playing a lot. A lot of us play Space Marines. We play Space Marines against each other. And the truth is that I looked at the way that they were playing the list, and playing against an Eldar player who was just going to kind of shuffle away from them with like Wave Serpents or whatever would probably still just wreck the crap out of what they had brought. But
Well, I think Eldar brings the problem, like you said, that they're going to not get 1 turn of shooting; they're going to get 2 turns of shooting. Like,
right.
like
or
free.
more. Or more. Yeah.
Well, that, like you said, the original gun line list that they can beat, they get 1 line of shooting. Eldar is going to get minimum 2.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of the problem with game balance as it is right now. I mean, and the lack thereof. One codex or whatever being so much more powerful than the others that it's pretty much silly to not just bring those single codex, right?
Have you heard of the Psyker powers? The Psyker powers right now, Blood Angels are getting rave reviews.
They're great. They seem really cool. I mean, it from a personal standpoint, I hate what psychic powers are in 7th edition. From the standpoint of any kind of game balance or any kind of even if you're just playing the game for fun, right? I'm not saying a tournament perspective. I'm saying I sit down across the table from an opponent. If he brings a psyker of any kind and I don't, I'm at a disadvantage. That is a problem, and that's a problem with the way the game is constructed. He gets a free phase that I don't get.
It's that bad.
I do. I believe it is. I believe, and you know what? People will argue that, yeah, well, I mean, it's all dice, dependent, right? 50% chance on your dice rolls. Some powers need, you need to make 2 successes, so you're not getting as many spells off as you used to and stuff like that. And you're right. That those things are true. That if you choose to have a balance, then if you choose to have both players have kind of a balance of stuff, and there's nobody's running anything that has rerolls or the chance to you're not playing any of the big baddie characters that really abuse the way the rules are set up, then yeah, maybe the dice roll average and it's not a big deal. But it doesn't matter. All they have to do is get off a single blessing 1 time in the first couple turns of the game, and it makes a huge difference, because that's a blessing that an army that does not choose to bring a psyker can't bring.
I completely agree with you.
That's a gameplay problem. So, and I'm not even talking about like tournaments. I'm just talking about, and the fact that I can't stop it either, right? Like a blessing, to stop a blessing that somebody casts. Especially if they're like, well, I don't really need to cast anything else. I just need to cast this, an Eldar player. I just need to cast this 1 blessing, for instance, to, guide on 1 guy. For me to stop that, with my, he doesn't even matter what he rolls on the pool dice that both players get, because he has, 50% chance to succeed, and I have, 18% chance to block. And I have to block
just as many 6s as he needs,
right? I have to block. I need as many 6s as he made 4 pluses.
That's not a block, dude. That's nothing. That's good luck.
No, it's not anything, and I don't know, but it doesn't matter. That's a whole different thing. The point is that yes, the librarian powers for the Blood Angels can be in my opinion, can be very interesting. Could be really dangerous. They kept the kind of the fear of the darkness esque thing that you had. So I have a buddy who loved playing that. He'd play librarians and draw pods, and then try and fear the darkness your units off the table edge and stuff. So there's that. That's pretty cool. It's not as powerful in 6th edition because you can't escort people off, or 7th edition because you can't escort people off the table like you could in 5th when that came out. But it's still really cool. So if they have like a backfield unit that's right near the table edge, the Primaris power has it could totally make a character really nasty and powerful. Frankly, though, I think that the only character that, in my opinion, that is really, really powerful is Dante. Like, all the other characters they're mediocre.
Okay. Why is Dante game breaking?
I'm not saying he is game breaking. I'm saying he can be game breaking, and in my opinion, he's an auto. He's pretty much an auto include. You bring him because why the heck wouldn't you?
Why?
He has a mastercrafted strength 6 AP2 weapon initiative. He's base initiative 6, so
if you're all like you said, you're always going to bring the Force Org. He's going to be initiative 7 on the charge, and there's ways to make him even higher initiative. Like for instance, the Primaris power of their psychic tree, which gives a character within 12 inches of the librarian plus D3 attacks and initiative. So, I mean, and he's higher weapon skill. He's got so he can really kind of go in as long as you don't let him get caught out, where he has to take all of the wounds because he only has a 4+ invuln. Then, I mean, the guy is ridiculous. Make sure he stays with a sanguinary priest and a unit of whatever. It doesn't really matter. They could just be extra wounds for him. He can go through units by himself.
That's one of the problems I find with 40k is the word auto include is like in every book. Like there are best choices and there are things that constantly get left at home because they're not up to snuff. They don't have their point. Like you said, Dante's way better than these other HQs. Why am I ever going to bring them?
Dante's a Lord of War.
But he's an auto. I'm always going to bring the Ball Strike Force. I'm always going to bring Dante. Pretty much. Why would I even?
Well, the other one too that's stayed in auto include is Corbulo. Actually, this is the one thing that I wanted to talk about. That it reminded me I wanted to talk about. Corbulo, a regular sanguinary priest gives the unit he's with feel no pain, and then also gives the unit the blood chalice, which gives them +1 weapon. Which is the way that they set up the +1 weapon skill, and then the guys have furious charge, and then you bring the ball strike force. It's really cool because you don't have to fixate on the big units. You don't have to bring sanguinary guard. You don't have to bring death company. You can bring regular guys. In fact, bringing scouts and not with snipers, not sniper scouts, bringing close combat scouts is totally viable because they have. If they're part of the strike force, now when they charge, they're strength 5, initiative 5. Sure, they're still weapon skill 3, but you put a sanguinary priest with them or Corbulo within 6 inches of them, and now they're weapon skill 4. So all of a sudden, these guys who are really cheap but kind of like weak and nobody really likes them are very viable in close combat. Units. They're very much superior to standard other units, and I put them up. I think they would fight really well against even things like berserkers, which beats berserkers. But and that's another librarian power that they can buff is they can give a unit rage, or if the unit already has rage, an additional +1 attack, which is kind of fun too. So going back to the original thought, which was that you're trying to allow this book to bring assault back in a lot of ways. If you can get over that initial problem, which I opinioned, which was that you had to get to close combat. If you can get to close combat, pretty much anything that they get to close combat will do well.
It's getting there though. How do you get there?
You hope you live for that one turn of shooting against most
Pray? I mean,
yeah, I mean,
yeah. If you're not playing against Eldar, I think the drop pod list is extremely viable. I think
flamers coming out and everything.
I don't even care about flamers. I wouldn't care about that. It would just be how many troops can I get or how many models can I get there with a couple of nasty units. Not all your eggs in the basket of the nasty units, but you bring the nasty units because it makes them not shoot at the other guys because they're like, well, I got to shoot at the nasty unit, so they leave the other guys alone, and then you're like, well, unfortunately for you, my regular guys are actually really powerful with the buffers, right? And so, like what Corbulo does is rather than just his own unit, it in fact infects every unit within a 6-inch bubble of him for the +1 weapon skill, and additionally, it's a +1 initiative.
So,
not a +1 initiative on the charge, a +1 initiative. So now
6 inches.
A bubble of 6 inches. So if you're
unit or model, by the way,
it's unit.
So if there's one model out of that unit that's in the 6-inch bubble, the whole unit gets it.
Yes.
Okay.
And so it's a +1 initiative in addition. So instead, there would be initiative 5 base and initiative 6 on the charge. So I think he went up 15 points. He lost his ridiculous feel no pain, but he gained a wound. He also he lost the ballistic skill and an attack. Maybe he kept the attack. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. The point is that you just put him in a unit with somebody else. He's just there to
buff.
make the rest of the army better. But I think he's an auto include. And if the list that I will probably end up running would definitely be him.
Let's switch gears a little bit here to what do you think of the flavor of the book?
I like the flavor.
Now from a balance perspective, now we're talking about just like flavors, rule ideas, new stuff incorporated, etc., etc.
I like what they did with Sanguinary Priests. I like that they're giving some more options. What I don't like is things like the Grey Knight Codex, where they closed off options, where they made it more mundane and less interesting. I like that the Blood Angels there's more variety there, even though they didn't bring out any new units. They just brought out new models, right? I like that. What I don't, flavor wise, I like it. Other than the fact that they don't have Assault Marines as troops, but like I already said, it's not really important that they did.
See, I'm against you on that. I think the flavor of the book is like Grey Knights. I think it's very bland. I think that they could have done so much more with it.
I mean, I don't like psychic powers, but at least they gave them their own psychic powers, which can make it so that the army you can build around those psychic powers. They gave them some special character. They gave them kept all the special characters and gave the special characters specific warlord traits, some of which you can build around. Like, for instance, if you bring Dante and he's your warlord, you can still have the jump pack army that only deep strikes with one, and scatters one die, right? And they get to re-roll to see if they come in. So you still have that warlord trait. So there's still these flavor things that allow you to kind of play the army in a bunch of different ways. But yeah, I mean, if you want to play Blood Angels, realize you're gonna play an assault army. You're not gonna play a shooting army.
I'm okay with declaring an army a shooting or a close combat army. I thought they could have done more with like the deep striking in, like Descents of Angels. I thought that was a really cool idea that Blood Angels could have been centered around, and I think they fleshed that out enough.
They had it before, and you can have it. You can still have it. I don't know what the problem is.
No, I mean, I just wish they would have gone more around that, like the deep strike. Because when I picture Blood Angels in my head, I picture like these Marines like dropping down, like from the heavens and just like slicing everything in front of them. Like I picture a close combat army. It would have been nice maybe to give one unit the ability to charge after deep striking.
There's several things that GW has gone entirely away from, and that's definitely one of them. From that idea that there's anything that really, unless you want to buy Forge World and play with Forge World rules that are allowed in your your local group or whatever. I don't know.
Here, Thomas. The quote from last week was, they took Blood Angels and turned them into, what was it, 5th edition orcs, basically?
Yeah, that's what it feels like. They turned Blood Angels into 5th edition orcs.
You get stuff when you charge.
You get stuff when you charge. It's 5th edition orcs all over again.
Okay, sure. Is there a problem with that?
No, but I'm saying you're recycling
new
ideas.
It's just recycling.
You're recycling.
The problem.
So, yeah, but if you look at every codex that's come out in 7th edition, it's all old ideas that they're recycling. Go talk to anybody who played second or third edition of this game, and they're like, "Oh, that was a 2nd or 3rd edition game, or ability, or item, or idea." The GW's not doing anything new.
That's true, by the way. I have not played 2nd or 3rd edition, so I don't know about that stuff.
That's what it is. You can go back and you can ask people from before, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's an old idea. That's an old thing. That's the way it used to be." Same thing that they're doing with models that they're bringing out, like the Knight Titan thing, whatever it is. I always forget what it's called. Those things, Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights are a model from whatchamacallit. They were in the fluff back in the day, and they're not a model from Epic.
What do you think about those, by the way? Just
I hate
out
them.
of
I
curiosity.
think the worst. I think that they are probably the worst thing that happened to 40k 6th edition and 40k 7th edition.
Really?
Yeah, if I could name one single thing that was the worst, it was them. You being able to bring them and bring them as an army.
As an army or as an ally?
Either.
Just in general, you just hate the entire concept of it.
This is my problem. I love the concept. I love the concept of allies. It did not.
We're on opposite sides of the fence on that. First off,
I
I hate
love.
allies.
Oh, no, think about this. It is not the. Is it not the coolest idea ever to be able to be like, here I am, and I have Kasaro Khan, and I have the Raven Guard captain. I can't think of his name right now.
Shrike.
Thank you, Shrike, and they're hanging out hand in hand, both sides of their army working together to take this planet on. I mean, that's in the fluff. It's in the book. You read about how epic they are, and they changed. For a couple thousand years, the White Scars and the Raven Guard have been kind of at odds with each other, and they fix it because these guys fight as and forge themselves as battle brothers and stuff. It's freaking awesome. That's so cool. But the problem, and I want to be able to bring that army to the table and be like, I'm playing this game and I'm having a good time playing it, but still also, be competitive and have my competitive side of my competitive side be able to enjoy myself. The problem is, it's implemented wrong. The standpoint that GW has implemented it is it's a naked bid for more money. That's awful.
What does that mean? I mean, elaborate on that point.
What do you
mean naked? Not the money grab, the naked part.
So
they're not even hiding it.
Yeah, they're not even really hiding it. It's right out there and clear that the whole reason that they're in 7th edition Force Org is the same thing. They're like, I don't really care. They say it in the rulebook. We don't really care. Well, if you just want to play the game with a bunch of models, just go play the game. And a lot of people, especially tournament players, look at that as you're going after tournament players. And I'm like, no. I don't think that they're necessarily going after tournament players. Sure, they're not supporting tournament play, but what they're doing, they're just saying the way to make money is to just get people to buy models. Well, sometimes there's all these rules that we had, and people get turned off by it when they go to their local game store because they get beaten up by some player who's more experienced than them, and so on and so forth. And they just want to enjoy the game and enjoy the hobby. Well, all right, get together with your buddy that you can enjoy the hobby with, and just here's my Tyranids that are hanging out with orcs who are hanging out with Eldar. They're all together, and we're just playing. And so if you even use the Battle Forge rules and you play with Force Org at all, it in fact encourages you to bring allies, because if you can get an ally that's a battle brother, you get rid of any disadvantage that is built in for game balance. So all of a sudden, my Marines that are really, really, really good at shooting and bring a White Stars character that they can add to the unit, and then, oh no, you caught me in close combat. Well, I guess that's the end of me being able to shoot you down. Oh wait, never mind. Here's this guy that has hit and run, so go ahead and hit me. Oh, and I have this other guy in there who's a Eternal Warrior with a 2+3+ save or some sort of silly rerollable crap, and you don't do anything to me, and then I hit and run out and shoot you again. I mean,
First off, 2-up armor saves in 40k are stupid. Like,
what?
you have some of the. I think 2-up armor saves in 40k are awful.
Well, sure, maybe.
Just in general, you have the most powerful guns in the world. There's no such thing as a 2-up armor save. If I shoot you with a railgun,
I disagree, and here's why: because you go and you read fluff about like Terminator armor and stuff. Like those guys, those suits are they're like god weapons. It's super cool. I have no problem with the idea that you have a 2+ save. You know how you get around a 2+ save? It's really easy. You just shoot them with a lot of things that doesn't care that it's a 2+ save, and you're just looking to make them roll enough dice to roll once.
Bucket of dice. I get it.
Right. My problem, and anyone can do that. An orc can do that. An orc can easily do that. Anybody who has the crappiest ballistic skill in the game can throw mass shots and blow up 2+ saves. That's not the problem. The problem is when you start adding in allies who have a rule that confers to the entire unit that they're with. Or when you start having psychic powers that, I mean, invisibility. I can say it in one word. It's a huge problem. If somebody, like, even in a casual game, unless I'm going to be like, oh, hey, I went to my local game store and I was playing against this guy and he brought a level 1 guy who he wanted Psychic Shriek because Psychic Shriek is a really cool power. And you know what? He got lucky and rolled a 5. Well, what am I going to say? Do I say ahead of time, well, hey man, if you roll invisibility, I'm packing my models up and leaving? I mean, this is the argument that a lot of the people who are kind of like pro 7th edition and don't mind that the game that there's game balance problems that I have a problem with. Because I'm don't play a tournament. Do whatever you want. I don't care. The problem is that unless you are specifically playing with only your group of friends, only the same 5 to 10 people that you know that you're buddy with, that you're playing in your basement with, you can't go to a game store. You can't go to your local hobby shop, or even somebody who's not necessarily who's an acquaintance, but not necessarily one of your best buddies. You can be like, oh man, that really sucks. Can we not roll that power ahead of time? If you do that, you're going to offend that person. You know, I mean, I've spent many years of my life being a weekly regular game store goer. You know, I would go constantly every week, play a game, play 2 games. You know, show up for a Saturday, be at all the tournaments. You know, go and paint in the hobby shop. I did it. I worked at a hobby shop. You can't. There's a certain decorum that you have to have, and there's a certain openness, and you can't just be like, well, I'm not going to play with you if you play this, and that. You know.
I agree. No, I 100% agree with you right now.
And so my problem. This is my problem. My problem is that, you know, unless you extremely restrict who you're playing the game with and only enjoy it for their beer and pretzels and not everybody's beer and pretzels, you can't really enjoy the game, right?
No, 7th edition, I've been saying this for a while, has balance problems. Real balance problems.
Well, sure, yeah, it does. I mean,
across the board, balance problems. I'm not even talking book to book. I'm just talking in the rule book itself.
Yeah, you're right. It's better than 6th edition was, but you're right. The psychic phase should go away entirely, in my opinion. But you know, that aside, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because you know what? I lost. I mean, I've talked about it, but I haven't gotten the motivation up to go make my own game. Yeah, I've dabbled with Infinity, and I've played 5 or 6 games of Warmachine now. And you know what? I don't have a Warmachine tattoo. I don't have an Infinity tattoo. I don't have 10,000 plus points of Space Marine of 10,000 models or 300, 400 models on my shelf of any of those other lines. No, I have Space Marines. I have 40K models. You know, I'm invested. I do it. I mean, I love this game. I love the story and the background and the fluff. And so, you know what? Yeah. What all the people who like what 7th edition is doing, good for you. But you know what? Don't rail against me because I don't, and I want things to be different. And I hope and I wish that Games Workshop would at least balance out a little bit. You know, I mean, I fully admit that yes, they've never been a truly balanced game. They've never been like Warmachine is, where it's a really tight, nice rule set. But you know what? There's a middle ground that you can find, and they are not in there. They're not. That's not where they are.
Which edition was the closest to you for 40K to that middle ground?
You know what? I don't know. I only played one game of 4th edition, and I played in the entirety of 5th, and then I played 6th and 7th. So,
well, out of 5, 6, and 7, to me, 5th edition was pretty close. I liked 5th. I had fun in 5th.
There are players who don't like 5th edition and who didn't like 5th edition, and a lot of those players happen to be the players who actually like 7th edition. So you know what? There's art to be had both ways. Personally, I liked 5th edition the best, but then again, I'm a competitive person, and I liked going to tournaments, and I liked the way that you would I liked the 4-sword. I thought the 4-sword was a great thing. I liked the way that things that were limited. And sure, people could still min-max and find the best things, and there were still balanced problems.
Well, 5th edition also, you could go up to your game store. You didn't have to limit each other. You knew you know what I mean? Like, there wasn't, like, somebody brought, like, this weird, retarded crap out of somewhere. Like, you lined up.
You're right. The pocketbook thing. You weren't fighting your opponent. You were playing your opponent, not his pocketbook.
That's what I mean. Like every book, I felt like in fifth edition had a chance. Even orcs, everyone hated on orcs in fifth edition. I won with battle wagon spam against many Grey Knight players.
Oh yeah, but no, orcs were good. Were really good. You know, my buddy Rich, our buddy Rich, he was on the final table for one of the final table in Chicago.
Games Day.
No, not game day, for our boys one year.
Oh,
He went to third round final table with orcs, and guess who he was against? Orcs.
so Thomas, being a big 40K player, have you ever dabbled in fantasy?
I played fantasy first, actually.
Have you played any recent fantasy?
No.
Not yet. Soon.
No, I
Next
haven't.
couple weeks, you're gonna do it, right?
Yeah, I think I said on camera that I was going to. Here's my problem with fantasy. John Feedy can sum it up in one word.
Yeah, here it is. Hell pit. No. Okay, if I'm gonna be serious, it's actually magic. Or
You're right.
eighth. Possibly just eighth.
So the same problem exists that you have. You have the Psyker phase and the Magic phase.
Yeah, no, I don't want to play. I'm sorry. You know what? If I want to play, I have this card. There's a card game. It's this card game we used to play when we would get drunk or whatever. We played it a few times at some of the parties. It's this spell. You're a wizard and you get cards and then you have to build your spell and your spell has different
Oh
words.
yeah, I remember that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What game was that?
I don't remember what it's called.
It's like a Munchkins version.
It's kind of like that, right? And you just try to do damage to the other player and you blow them up and things go off in a different order. It seemed like it was kind of just a for funsy game, right? Well, that's not what I want with my models. If I want to get drunk and play wizard spell casting game, I'll go do that. But you know what? I've talked about this a few times to John. I have some old books that there used to be a group. And I don't know if they directly worked for Games Workshop.
By the way, Battle Wizards of Skull Mountain.
Yeah, that might be the game. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Sorry.
Wacky picks, right? The wacky.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep, that's the game. But no, there's this group that it used to be affiliated with Games Workshop. You know, I don't know if they worked for it or not or whatever, but they came up with all the historic Warhammer Ancients. And I've got a couple of rule books, right? And frankly, Warhammer Ancients, it totally fits with historicals. Yeah, it's very much the same set of rules that they kind of always had. You know, very similar. Okay, you got blocks of infantry. You know, here's how they. You know, the same stat line. Here's how they, you know, you have to charge in your front arc and, you know, the advantages of getting somebody on the flank and stuff like that. And it's basically what Warhammer has been for years, and from edition to edition, you know, with minor differences. Like, I mean, obviously, 8th edition is definitely bring one big unit, right? And they kind of did, like, that's not necessarily true of older editions. So anyway, Warhammer Ancients, the rules. I'm sorry?
I'm saying, unless you're Dark Elves, in which case you just bring a bunch of units of fast cav and be a jerk. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So this set of rules, you go and read it and whatever. There's no magic because it's supposed to be historical. It's supposed to be the real world, right? And they have books that have they've adapted all the historical armies, right? Like I got a book that's Byzantium, and it has 1,000 years of Byzantium's. You know, lists for different periods of time, for the different enemies they were fighting, some of the enemies that they fought, you know, and you can build lists out of that to play historically, you know, and I haven't played it because I don't have anyone to play it with, but I look at the base rule set, you know, the base rule set regardless of whatever the armies can do, and the base rule set is balanced. The base rule set is good. It functions like a chess game that you want to play. You know, it's all about outmaneuvering your opponent, you know, and making that charge to hit the opponent on the flank. You know, doing stuff like feigning flight so you can draw your opponent's charge out and get them on the edge, you know, get them on the flank, you know, countercharge them and stuff like that. And, you know, all kinds of things like that where it's you as a player can do everything within your power to affect as closely as possible affect what the dice are going to roll for you, right? My problem with the way that 40K is and the way that fantasy magic was with 8th edition and so on and so forth is that it's not about you playing your opponent. It is often about, like I said, sorry?
If you get your spell off.
Yeah, well, no, it's about the dice. It's about whether or not the dice roll better for you, you know? And yet, you know what? There are players who are still better than other players. You go to tournaments or whatever, and that's still true. But what they've done is they've also, you know, they've got the min-maxed list. They've got the internet list, and a lot of those times it comes down to dice percentages or dice rolls. You know, you like I haven't really looked at results more closely more recently, but I remember the first year of Adepticon 6th edition. Adepticon 6th edition, the top 16 players, they have a separate tournament, and it was like 10 of the players were 10 or 12 of the 16 players or something were all Necron players with basically the same list. And then, oh, here's my allies that may be Orc, Grey Knights, or Demons. I mean, how is that a good game?
It's not. It's not a good game.
No, it's not. But then
what
again,
I was saying when I was getting into fantasy, though, is right now, because I played 8th edition fantasy hardcore, like tournament player, everything, studied the rulebook. I probably could have been a judge for 8th edition fantasy.
Okay.
The rules are actually, for GW standards, are actually pretty close to like being balanced. There's a few, they need to make tweaks to it, you know what I mean? They need to, small minor tweaks, like with ballistic shooting, nerfing the magic phase, you know, small things. And I'm afraid with GW standards with 40k that they're going
to phase. That's not a minor tweak. That should be a big one.
Well, I mean, like,
not really. All they would really need to do is either keep it the way it is, but make the miscast table less forgiving, or just slightly lower the power of spells. That's really it.
Yeah, like there are certain spells in the magic table right now. They're just
like armies don't win because they always have a chance to win because they can get that bomb spell off and maybe, you know, kill most of your army. That's a chance, but that doesn't really happen. The armies that win right now are the ones that are elves because they have a bunch of built-in re-rolling to just make the dice not matter as much. Those are the armies that win right now.
That's what I'm saying though. Is like they need small tweaks, you know, to bring some stuff into balance. I feel like they've got a great system there that GW created. Now I'm afraid with the 40k after seeing 7th edition that they're going to go more that way and just totally mess up everything that they've done.
Well, this is what I'll tell you. I played a lot of 7th edition fantasy, and what I felt like was if you brought a heavy magic list and your opponent didn't, you won the game. And that was 7th edition, not 8th edition. And I haven't played 8th edition, so you know I don't know. But what I do know is that it's the exact same. Fantasy was always the exact same as 40k is now. You were punished if you didn't bring magic users.
Yes, you do have to bring a magic user right now, or you're at a disadvantage.
It's stupid. I think that's entirely stupid.
I agree that you should be able to build your list without going to it. You know what I mean? Like without nerfing yourself.
You want to know why? They want you to bring magic?
Money.
No, it's not money. It has nothing to do with money. It's because that's their major point of difference from historicals, is the magic.
Fair enough. And I can't contest that. What I can contest is that in 40k fluff, you always have a psyker there. That's not true.
Fair enough. I don't disagree with you on 40k. I don't like the psychic phase.
Right. So I mean, yes, you can make the point, and I accept the point that that if you're going to play fantasy, you have to have magic. It's like playing Warmachine. Warmachine or Hordes, you have to have a Warcaster, right? I mean, obviously it's more built in, right? But
that's the base of the game, is that they bring different things with them to suit different playstyles and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back, like you were pointing out, like how the top tournament players all had the same list. If you go back and look at the results for Warmachine tournaments right now, you won't find anywhere near the same lists.
Unless it's P-Scar.
Unless you're playing Crix and you brought P-Scar. But P-Scar is the flavor of the month right now.
Well, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's something that Warmachine has built their game for. You know, the difference is, and the reason that I'll continue to play 40K, and the reason that my Warmachine models are going to be 40K miniatures is that Warmachine has terrible models.
But they no, I'm never going to disagree with that. GW, hands down, head and shoulders model quality is above Privateer Press. It's not even a competition. Like I can't even.
Well, GW beats everyone in model quality.
Yeah,
but
I can't even make a case for Privateer Press's models.
But basically, Thomas has said this before, and I'm just going to spout it out right now: is that GW has a decade of model making on Privateer Press. In a decade, Privateer Press's models might be as good as GW's are now.
I really hope so, because I hate putting Warmachine models together right now.
But what about the rule set? So go into the Warmachine verse 4. I mean, go into the actual. You've played enough games now. You know, you've seen. I'm sure John has showed you the synergy and everything. You know, go behind it. I mean, I feel there's more synergy between my models in Warmachine than there is in 40K. Like, things matter when something dies, and obviously it's going to be. You know, they're both skirmish games, but when something dies in Warmachine, it's more detrimental. 40K is a skirmish game.
No, it's not. 40K is not a skirmish game. It's a Grand Army size game. Skirmish and that's a function of the size, the number of models, things like that. They're not skirmish games. Kill Team is the skirmish version of 40K.
Okay. I feel like the rule set behind
Army in 40K, if you want, they're called Grey Knights, and now they are terrible.
But that's what I mean, is I want to get your opinion on the rule set. You know, I'm just one side of it.
Whatever. Imperial Knights is 40K is GW's way of saying, oh hey, here's our big model, and also if you want to be able to get into the game without having to have 50 or 60 models. That's what they're. And I read
but you're gonna pay the same price.
You're gonna pay the same price.
There's no. Yes, you're gonna pay the same price. There's no. They're making their money, but the difference is that from the one of the things they're trying to do is they're trying to get new players, right? A new market, and so so the problem that they've had is that, well, you know, these 20-somethings or whatever that don't necessarily have the time or energy or really want to spend all in painting up models. Well, hey, I can still play the game and still be really good at it with 6 models.
So, I mean, is that whole GW's I mean, we know they're trying to get new players involved, but how far are they really willing to go just to get the new player involved?
Have you been to one of their stores lately?
My game GW official GW store in Altamont just closed. What was it, a month ago, John?
I don't know. I'm not local to you.
I said on stream though.
Okay,
about a month and a half ago, my official GW just closed. But yes, I was a regular there.
Okay. The last time I walked into a GW store, it was the bunker, or what had been the bunker in Chicago.
I was there for that.
Yes, I remember one of the best. When I went to the bunker that first time, when I had gone out to Adepticon the first time, it was extremely enjoyable. Like, I mean, from the standpoint of a player, you know, a player and a hobbyist, it was like being in heaven. It was amazing. And then, complete 180. When I walked into that place, like that guy was trying to. I mean, it was like he was trying to verbally. I can't say. What can I say? Crappy. No. It was awful. It was awful. It was like a used car salesman. That's what it was like. And he was the one guy in the shop, and there was probably a dozen people there. And he came up to us about 6 or 7 times to bother us. Like, I mean, it wasn't like it. You know, it became intrusive. Like the first time, it was like, oh yeah, cool, good. You know, this guy's paying attention to who's in the shop. You know, which is a problem sometimes when you have a brick and mortar type place where, you know, there's the kind of unwashed, greasy dude sitting behind the counter who may not pay attention to you or whatever, or be helpful.
Or he's busy playing the game and doesn't care about you right now.
Right. This was definitely, like, so far the other way that it was awful. Hold on a second, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
In the meantime, John, you can give us a painting update.
Oh yeah, I can. We got our librarian, Dreadnought. Falcorn! Yes, I named him after...
But Falcorn the what? Falcorn the Brave?
No, he's Falcorn. Defender of the Alliance.
Defender of the Alliance.
Here, I'll give him a little close-up here. Yeah, he's coming along. Pretty happy with him so far. Yeah. Got his little arms here. Yeah, there we go. Working on him. It's fun.
I haven't seen it yet. It hasn't come up on the stream delay yet.
It's coming.
Oh, is it coming, John?
I just gave the dreadnought a turn. On
Oh,
the
there it
screen,
is,
and
man.
There's the arms. So we're working on it.
Look at that.
Working on it.
Looking good.
So you haven't gone into if you got any games in over the past week, by the way.
It was the holidays, my game store, and everybody was out of town, so I did not.
Still? That's what you said last time.
I know, everybody goes away for 2 weeks, bro, because it's New Year's is on top of that.
2 weeks, wow.
I will be...
What, do they not have jobs or something? Jeez.
I don't say bad things today. I actually have Thomas backing me up on some of these points about how unbalanced 7th edition is. Thank you.
Okay, we'll put
I don't know why you're high-fiving yourself. I'm
high-five myself.
Hey, Thomas.
Yeah.
Hey. How do you feel about Necrons being able to get Tesla procs on snapshots?
That's a loaded question. You told me about this already.
Oh, you're such a jerk, John.
in fairness to you, Steve, he's already told me this, but yeah, I think it's ridiculous. It's incredibly unbalancing. Why would I mean, with Jink becoming more powerful in 7th edition, it's like, well, I never have to worry. I mean, who cares?
I get what you're saying by the why not do it. I get that part, like the why not do it. But what I'm saying is it's not overly broken. It's not like this OP massive thing that, because if it was, everybody would be doing it, and they're not.
It was. Everybody, they were half of 6th edition. Necrons was the best codex to play.
That's because nothing else had come out yet, though. They were the only 6th edition book.
You know when Necrons became not the best to play anymore?
When Eldar.
It's when Tau and Eldar came out.
Which were like the next books that came out, though, weren't they?
No.
No.
What were the books that was dark? It was Necrons,
Chaos and Dark Angels.
and then Tau.
There was a big gap. And
so,
it wasn't.
I mean, that's a lack of codexes, though, to keep up with them. They were the brand new powerhouse. They have power creep in 40k. That's just not because of the jinking.
No. See, the problem is that is still an ongoing problem, right? You still, if you come across a Necron player, and yes, they're not the big tournament winning book right now. That is definitely according to torrentofire.com, it's like 56% Eldar and something like 64% Titans, the Knight or Imperial Knights or whatever.
Wow.
But Necrons, there's a problem with it when there's a rule that you lose something to gain something, and you are in fact not losing anything, right? That's a problem. All right. So their main weapon fires 4 shots, right? And I think I'm pretty sure
it's twin linked. I think the problem is it's twin linked, because if it wasn't twin linked, they wouldn't be having this problem. This argument.
No, it's still a problem. And here's why. Because it creates 2 more automatic hits.
Yes.
The whole point of jinking, of snap firing, is that all of a sudden it's now a 1 in 6 chance per die to be able to hit. No, instead what they have is if you hit 1 in 6, one of these 1 in 6 chances, you are now hitting 3 times. So even without twin linked 4 dice, you still have a decent chance of getting 1/6, and all of a sudden it's like you threw the dice regularly. It's like you regularly threw the dice and had the shots regular, right? Regular shooting without twin linked, a 4-shot weapon with a ballistic skill 4, you're gonna hit 2 and 6.66% or something like that.
Needing 6s or just needing 3s?
3, yes. 3 dice are gonna hit, right? 3 out of 4 dice are likely to hit in that situation, right? If it was 2 bolt greens, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be 2 Bolter Marines in rapid fire range. They're going to hit 3 out of 4 times, most likely, right? So it's the same effect. All of a sudden, this guy it's like having your cake and eating it too. That's the problem with it. It's no balance.
I think being Necrons, all right, we already have a lower model count as it is on the table. Yes, we do. I've played Necrons. They were my army. I know how many models we had on the table. I know how many.
Your warrior's 10 points.
Yeah, because we're bringing warriors. That's what Necron players are bringing. Okay.
You can bring warriors and win the game.
We're spamming the Tesla and the flyer spam out the wazoo. You know that's the best way as a Necron player to do it.
It doesn't matter. You can still bring a bunch of those
You
and
still need the Warriors for your.
Okay,
for your
okay, but if you bring the
troops.
Warriors, they don't have the Tesla. They have the Gauss.
You
doesn't
need to bring some sort of troop. It's
Yeah,
a task, and you can pay a
min-max.
very
You
cheap
min-max.
pittance of a
Take the
tax.
minimum squads you can and put them in Ghost Arcs, or just put them on the table hiding somewhere.
You don't even bring Ghost Arcs. You bring what's the thing? The heart.
The Annihilation Barges.
Yes, Annihilation Barges.
But
Those are-
you have your heavy slots, though. So you're either bringing the Flyer Spam or you're bringing the Annihilation Barges. You're not bringing both. And those are the only things that have the Tesla Destructors on them.
No, that's not true, because you can bring your stupid warriors and bring the Flyer Croissants as a dedicated transport.
The Night Sides.
Yes, the
That's
Night
also
Side.
Flyer Spam. So you take the Flyer Spam or you take these. Like, it's...
You can take both, because one is fast attack and the other is dedicated transport.
No, the Annihilation Barges are heavy sport.
Okay, so you can bring them as heavy. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is you can bring both.
What I'm trying to say is, like, I only get 6 of those. Only.
No, you don't. Or you get as many croissants as you want to bring warriors. So that's at least 6. Or you could bring 6 if you wanted to bring 5 or 6 different warriors.
I thought they capped I think there was a cap there at, like, 3 Night Size. There was a way it worked out. Like, I min-maxed it. It was like 3.
I'm 95% sure it's a dedicated transport. There's no cap on that. It's whatever you. If you bring a unit and bring it as a dedicated transport, you can bring it.
Yeah.
I mean,
All those lists at the beginning of
wow.
that tournament that I was talking about, that first Adepticon of 6th edition, all of those armies had like an average of 5 Night Sides in them.
Hey, real quick, there's a discussion on our chat about Chinese models. I don't know anything about this. What's this about?
There's several sites like Yo-Yo, Yoimart, and other sites like that they buy the GW models and then they recast them and sell them for much cheapper.
Same models and everything?
Yeah, a bunch of the Forge World models are where it's at, really.
Well, are they really this discounted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I haven't heard like any of this.
Never heard about that? Wow.
No, I haven't heard about this
We've
at all.
had people send them in to the studio for their projects.
Can you tell? Can you tell the difference?
Yeah, you can tell.
Like what? How big?
Like,
are these
okay.
models?
You could tell Forge World because it's pretty crappy. Like a lot of the time, as far as the
like regular Marines. Let's say I ordered 10 TAC Marines.
yeah, because they're going to be resin instead of plastic.
Oh, but I mean, level of detail and quality. I mean, what's
It's a resin cast. I mean, you can get just fine detail.
Yeah, the
It's
detail.
that cast.
The details there. In fact, the sad part is that sometimes their cast is better than Forge World.
Sometimes, yeah.
That's the part that's sad about Forge World. Because they don't, and that's a problem that Forge World has. Their models are so amazing, yet they don't want to spend the money and time to actually have a decent cat to what sort I want quality control. They don't quality control.
Izella has brought up the embargo where you can't sell out of your region. I mean, I guess it doesn't stop them from hiring somebody to walk into stores, pick up models off the shelf, and then ship them themselves over there. As long as GW isn't the one shipping.
Well, GW makes a lot of rules that China doesn't really care about.
But probably not.
China as a country, not just Chinese corporations, but I mean, like, look at movies. China does the same thing. They're like, I don't really care about your copyright laws, America.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in one of my game stores, had these Australians. They were on vacation, came in, and they bought up like the whole shelf because they said like they can't get this. They waited not to buy it in Australia because it's marked up so much.
Yep.
That's because of their of tariff laws in Australia and stuff.
Yeah, and it's also a pretty big reason why we have a decent amount of Australian clients.
Why aren't they doing this for like the other game systems like Privateer Press, Infinity?
I think I could be wrong, but I think that it is actually something to do with Australia. Like Australia has tariff laws, so when they send stuff into Australia, product into Australia, they add a tariff to it. They add extra costs to it.
Yeah.
But like I said, though, why isn't like Privateer Press models being copied? Why is it a 40K thing?
40K is okay because Privateer Press is like a 10.
No, I understand the scale of the business. GW is way bigger than Privateer Press, but I'm saying like Infinity, all these other games are still making models that are selling and stuff over here. Why haven't they been hit yet?
By Chinese Warmachine?
Like why haven't they started recasting those types yet?
I would say 100% because of the scale. Because you're talking about GW, which has like annual sales of something like 800 million versus I don't even know. Like it's because they're the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and it's worth the money. Like it's worth the money for Joymart to be like, well, I'm going to buy this product and sell it for cheaper. Now I haven't looked, but I bet you could probably find at least some of those other models on Infinity or Warmachine models on Joymart. I could be wrong about that.
Joymart? Can you spell it? I mean,
Y-O-Y Mart.
YOYMart.com or .net?
.com.
At least take a look at it later.
Every once in a while, those websites get taken down. One company or another gets it down for a couple days, and then they start a new site.
Well, I mean, they're already doing the damage apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it's some people see it as a problem. Some people see it as, oh, good, we're sticking it to the man. It's kind
free.
of
What it is it's free enterprise, unfortunately. Like in a way.
I'm not educated enough to have a real opinion on it.
Here's the problem: if GW could figure out how to lower their, and I think that maybe with the softbound covers, books coming out, that rumor about them coming out, they're bringing out softbound covers for books again, as a way to cheapen the price. I think that GW had this real idea when they went public. It definitely happened correlated when they went public.
I thought ebooks were the way to make the cost cheaper. I thought ebooks were a great idea, like for iPads and stuff. Like the War Room app. We had a whole discussion about the apps on here. Like War Room for Privateer Press. Like GW needs one.
Sure, but why would they do that when they can still get people to buy a digital copy of their book for only $10 less than they sell it hardback?
Well, you can still make, like, when you do you have War Room?
I do.
So like they sell the decks. They sell that stuff inside the War Room for your own faction.
I use it. I've used it every Warmachine game I've played. I've used it. I know what you're talking about.
So GW could do that same concept. Make a War Room. Let's just call it War Room 2, basically, and then have the codexes inside that you pay like $10.99, $11.99 for the books.
I'm not saying anything that I disagree with. The problem is that you're forgetting that GW, since they've gone public, has looked at raising prices and making more money for their investors, not necessarily making it more affordable for more people, for their customer base. Okay? Like that's not a thing.
Okay.
That's the problem. And I don't know GW's internal numbers. I don't work for GW. What I know is that it seems like to me that with the amount of people that you have, there's got to be a way that you can make it more affordable, not less affordable. I've heard a lot of people go to other games specifically for that reason.
I firmly agree, first off, that if the 800-pound gorilla in the room is GW, you don't really have an excuse of we don't have the money. I'm sorry, you really don't. You guys sell there's better words for this, but a lot of models, like year-round. So to make it more like to give the 40K content, like go back to softcover books, or just go to ebooks and then sell the soft covers, and make it cheaper. You don't have to, like, the model costs are outrageous sometimes, and for what you're getting.
The best part is, like, even when there were things that was going to quote unquote lower the cost, they didn't. Like Finecast. Oh yeah, it's a stopgap between metal and plastic, and it's a cheaper material, so we're gonna pass the savings on to you. No, didn't happen.
I don't think any GW player has seen savings yet, and they make a really good product. That's the problem. But I know that you're money grabbing right now.
Well, you see, that's why sites like Joymart or secondhand market stuff that GW is trying to crack down on, or third-party groups like whatchamacallem, the guy that had the big lawsuit. Chapter House. That's why stuff like that exists, because customers are going to go with the free market. They're going to go with what they can afford,
And yeah, they love GW. They don't love GW. They love GW's product. They love the fluff. They love the universe. You know, I don't think I've ever. Anybody who still plays the game or has played the game, none of them complain that they hate the universe. What they say is maybe sometimes, I hate that they made this change to the fluff, but they're mad about the fluff change because they love the fluff, because they love the universe. That's what GW has right now. That's what they're, you know, that's basically what is making their money. And in some ways they're, you know, they're moving forward on that, which is good for them.
Well, honestly, I don't care what game system I'm playing in. Out of all the game systems, you're right. If there's a cheaper option out there, eBay, Discount Game Store, War Store, if there's a cheaper option to get my models, I'm going to take that cheaper option. Period. Yes. I don't care. Like, I'm going to do it, and I know 85% of the people are probably with me on this. I don't mind, you know, I will support. I go to my hobby store and, you know, buy sodas and buy some certain stuff like dice and stuff from him to support him, and I will support my company as long as I feel like I'm getting value out of my company. Like, if I feel like my money, if I go to GW and I paid, you know, for a Night Titan, I feel like that money actually went and did something better for the community, not went into some investor's pocket. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does make sense.
I mean, they're saving a ton. I know the ebooks save money. They have to be. They're super easy to. You're paying the programmer to do it pretty much, but you can still sell so many more of them because everybody has a smartphone. Everybody has an iPad. I very rarely come across people that don't have one of those options.
I don't know. I would say, you know, I could stand on, or some people that I've seen arguing against things like UA Mart and whatever, stand on principle of morality, like you're basically stealing from that company. You're or at the very least,
do you use eBay? Just ask them. Do you use eBay?
How is eBay stealing? Someone had to buy the product from eBay. Models. Yeah, but someone had to buy the product first.
But you're not supporting GW anymore. You're getting your models at a cheaper price, and your money isn't going to GW.
GW doesn't care because they already got the price for the models. That's the difference.
Could have two now.
Secondhand is different than I buy your model, I cast it, I sell it. That's two completely different things. Completely different.
You're right, John. But at the same time, GW doesn't like the secondhand market. Whatever. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter in the argument of, you know, you're basically stealing their intellectual property from someone who mass produced it without their consent. You're right.
Is the thing.
Stealing the intellectual property, yes, but I mean, to say to somebody that they haven't, if you use eBay, you've now used a secondhand source to get your models.
Yeah, well, it's completely different when it's secondhand. Someone already bought it, compared to someone bought it and then mass produced it for themselves. It's like if I went to, you know, the store, bought Fruit Loops, and then started making Fruit Loops and selling them cheaper, and called them Fruit Loops.
The first place, I don't even, if I want to buy something from any of my companies now, like anywhere, I go to eBay first. Like, that's the first place I go is eBay. I don't even look at the retailer stores.
But you do recognize the difference of what he's saying, right?
Yeah, no, I'm saying, you know, I understand the difference in intellectual property and stuff, but I firmly believe that eBay is a form of a secondhand store that's taking money out of GW's pocket.
I don't, because whoever's selling it on eBay had to get it from either a GW retailer or GW themselves.
John, they could have had two sales.
John, let me try this.
Okay.
Because I think he has a point. I think there is a difference though. The point is like it's like when Sean, like when I go to Sean, I say, hey Sean, I made this army, and I want to sell it through using your
channels,
your connections, using your channel to sell, and I'll give you X money, and he says, no, I don't want to do that. Because it would get rid of a customer that would otherwise buy something that I would make more money off of.
Sure.
Right. So I mean, I don't like it, and I don't agree with it, but there is an argument there to be said that if eBay didn't exist, then that person or a secondhand market in general, not just eBay, but a secondhand market in general didn't exist, Games Workshop would then instead be getting the money that person spent. Right. Like. There is.
So it's like if I go down to my local game store and this guy's like, oh, I have all these models that I bought once and now I don't want them. I'll sell them to you.
Yes.
So exactly. Even without, so that would have to not exist too.
what I'm saying is that's the same thing that eBay is. And yes, from that perspective, that is taking money out of GW's pocket. But do I think that do I think that it's wrong? No, I don't.
Okay, taking one sale and taking, you know, like...
No, I mean, if it was one sale, then yes, but eBay does millions of transactions of 40K stuff.
Yeah, but it's not off stuff that they cast themselves and sell as you.
That's just dirty. No, I am firmly against, like, that is kind of dirty.
Like, once I buy models, it's my right to do with what I want with them. Like,
I mean, that's a different argument. I'm with you on intellectual property. Like, that's a scumbag move China to do.
There are laws that protect, you know, that are supposed to stop what things like Yoimart do, which is cast it and sell it for themselves.
Do they even change the name on it, or they just use the same name?
It's literally Space Marines. Space Marine Land Speeder. It's literally, I cast it and sell it as what you're selling it as.
I wish Space Marine Land Speeders were worth bringing still.
That was the most random change of subject.
Whatever. It's a good one.
It's a good segue. You know what? This is a comparison. When somebody says to me, when you said to me earlier that annihilation barges, like, you're limited because you can't bring annihilation barges and the flying croissants. First off, I laugh at that. But the fact that in any shape or form that the annihilation barge isn't 100% better than something like a land speeder.
100% better.
It's ridiculous to me. It's the difference between, I don't even know what the points cost difference is, but the 90
points for an annihilation barge.
Okay, 90 points for an annihilation barge. It's 75 for a land speeder typhoon, and the difference in ability between one and the other is ridiculous.
Armor 13, fast, a Tesla destructor on it. I mean,
they're not. Yeah, I'm pretty sure your speeders aren't. Your thing is not fast, but it doesn't matter. It's so much better. The difference between them is so much. Like, it's so much more survivable in the current edition. It's so much more. It's just a better choice to bring. So when you say stuff like my model count is low, I just don't see it.
I mean, they're great model. I mean, they are great models, but I think that's what it is. Like, we have lower models on the table, which makes you bring it better.
You don't. I'm sorry.
I mean, when I line up against an Ultramarine player, I see more models on the table than I bring.
What are you bringing, and what's the Ultramarine player bringing?
I mean, I bring vehicles. I bring Necrons.
Well, okay, that might be part of your problem. I mean, I think that to some extent that fits the current meta. But then again, I think that, I mean, even if you have a lower model count army, it doesn't matter. You're still going to win, or you still have just as much of a chance of winning. And if you make a model per model comparison, there's a lot of models that Necrons have that are way better.
What other models? That's actually a good question. What other models do you wish were more viable? Like you said, land speeders. You wish land speeders were better so you could bring them.
Well,
what else do you wish was viable?
Land speeders makes me sad because I have a ton of them because they were meta before and now they sit on the shelf. For me personally,
it could be any book, anything. It doesn't have to be Space Marines. It could be anything you've seen.
Anything. There's a couple units that come to my mind. I know that currently it's a little bit meta to bring Legion of the Damned out of the Space Marine Codex. But I just don't see it. Like, I think that Legion of the Damned are terrible, or they've been terrible and they still are terrible. And they're a gorgeous model. Like, it's like, I mean, even in Fine Cast, I love those.
Hold on, Thomas. Can I just say what's on your mind right now?
Yes.
Okay. Thomas wishes that Black Templars were viable.
No, more even than Black Templars, Raven Guard.
Raven Guard.
They destroyed the Raven Guard, like the rules to play Raven Guard. You were better off playing a Raven Guard themed army, like you have them painted up and they're themed after Raven Guard, and playing them with White Scar's rules. That's closer. That would be closer to the fluff of Raven Guard than trying to play Raven Guard models right now. Or the same thing with Blood Angels. You could play them as Blood Angels better. But, I mean, that's the same problem that the Chaos Space Marine books always had. It's like, why should I bring Berserkers or Nurgle? I mean, the only ones that are viable to really play are Nurgle Marines, and then you really truly are facing the problem of your enemy having more models than you. But
That's what I'm saying. Is
Right, you
there
don't
any,
play Dark
like you said,
Eldar
like Raven Guard?
against Dark Eldar as Nurgle Marines.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry. What did you say, Steve?
That's what I was saying though. Like, so besides Raven Guard, what other units you just wish like you just saw you could bring on the table more because you wish they had better point values?
They're bringing out a new. They're bringing out a new. There's rumors right now of the Eldar. God, what are they called? The Harlequins. Harlequin Codex, right?
Wait, there's a whole codex of Harlequins?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh my god.
It's looking pretty solid. It's looking like it's actually going to happen. Like the rumors are real.
I may play 40k for the Harlequins because they are an awesome unit.
Howling Banshees.
But that's the problem. That's the problem. Harlequins are terrible. Why would you bring them right now?
That's why I asked you, you know, because I love the models. Models look sick.
Well, that's my point. That you said, hey, what models? And that's one of them. Harlequin. Harlequins are awful. There's no. Okay. I have no problem with the idea that Games Workshop to make money. And as a business, you should make money. And one of the ways that, in my opinion, you should be able to make money is you bring out a new model, and you make the new model more powerful so that people will buy it. I like that. That's great. No problem with that. That's great. Bring the Helldrake out. Make the Helldrake more powerful. Well, after 6 months of sales, make the Helldrake less powerful. Well, they did that. So at least there they were, you know, the Helldrake. I mean, it was more like 9 months or whatever.
Screamers, anyone?
Yeah, like they did it. They did the same thing with Screamers and Demons. Even though I think that they need to learn moderation. Like there's a level at which you can be like, yes, this thing is powerful, and it's more likely people are going to buy it and want to bring it out. But don't make it so powerful that it makes other players not want to play.
Yeah.
No, you've like basically brought up power creep pretty much in 40k. Like something comes out, it's really powerful, they end up nerfing it down the line.
But the problem is that down the line is so far. Like what needs to happen is you were talking about this idea of the digital codexes and stuff. Well, if they go, you know, let's say, and hopefully this problem will just over time fix itself. But right now they I think they feel an obligation to be like, okay, we're not going to change, either an obligation or just the fact that they don't want to spend the money and time because it's not their focus. But they don't want to say, okay, why not make this fix partway through with an errata or something like that, you know? Yeah, I mean, I can understand some people being upset. Oh my, you know, I bought this product. I bought this physical book that's been that's you know that I've got, and I have a problem with the fact that the rules in it have changed. They don't count anymore, right? I could see that, but I think that you could make the argument that more players would be satisfied and okay with that if the game in general were more balanced.
100%. People would be. It works in the privateer press world. It does because people have shown like we don't really care that you change our rules on us in the thing and that we buy the books or the decks or you know what I mean or whatever as long as we get a balanced game.
Right. Well, and especially with the electronic format, it would be very easy to be like, all right, well you've spent your $40 on this new codex, and that gives you the next. If we make changes for the next 6 months, you get that change for free. And then
we get it forever now. If you buy the deck you buy it one time. They add it like the Troll Bloods. Like every time the new releases come out, I get them for free.
I know that. What I'm saying is that GW could easily monetize it in a way that I don't think that people would really have a legitimate complaint. You say 6 months to a year, you get the stuff for free. After that, you have to pay $2 or $3. You know, that's $2 or $3. That's how games like stupid Farmville makes billions of dollars. It's, oh, I could spend $2 or $3 and get that. Okay, I'm gonna do it, right? That's, I mean,
$2-3 here and there every, you know.
And I think that's kind of the problem is that GW feels like, well, to really make our money, we got to get somebody to buy more than just coming into the store and buying a box of Tactical Marines. More than spending $40, we need them to spend $120, right? That's where I don't like their the way that they've built them. They've set themselves up. They need to figure out they've got these little card decks, right? The card decks, the psychic cards. I have a buddy. He loves to buy the psychic cards. That's just his thing. he has the psychic card for every army that comes. Every book he ends up buying the psychic card deck, and I look at him and I'm kind of like, that's really cool, and I know that you like him and whatever, and there's some catharsis for him when he buys them, but unless he bought most of the time, unless he bought like 2 decks or 3 decks, it's still useless to him, right? Like the Grey Knights, he plays the Grey Knights. And the way what he's trying to do with them is put them next to the unit to remind him, that this.
Oh yeah, because you need all the different cards.
Right, and he doesn't remember.
And they
because
overlap too. That's the thing.
Right.
Because in fantasy, you can only ever know each spell in the lore once right now, but in 40k, every second you know all the same spells if you roll that way. That's the big problem with it.
Well, I mean. I think that there's something. Look at it the opposite way. Instead, they could be like, one of the things that they did with a big. This kind of segueing between 5th and 6th. In 5th and 6th, when a vehicle exploded, there was a wreck left behind, right?
Yes.
And I have a buddy who made a business off of making those wreck markers. He laser cut wreck markers that had
so cool
your own symbol and whatever on, right? Well, GW made it so in 7th edition that doesn't happen anymore, because I think that they saw it. They saw that people were doing that people were monetizing making markers for their game.
Why didn't they just make them?
Why didn't they just make them? That was my whole argument.
I mean, or hire the guy that was making them.
Exactly.
Give him a job.
You're making my point for me, because you have all this time and energy and money and made Chapter House more famous. Made it bigger, made the company have more sales, gave him free advertisement, rather than going to that guy and saying something like, hey, buddy, we're going to sure, be cutthroat about it. Be like, listen, you either cease and desist or join us. And give him some sort of, and you don't even have to, it doesn't even have to be a big effort on GW's side of things. They don't have to even really spend money on it at that point. So all this money that they spent on their lawyers and all the bad press and all that, they could have avoided that by instead saying, okay, man, you want to use our IPO. Here's what we want you to change, because, we have a problem with these things. But on the other hand, we're going to give you free advertisement. All of your product is going to be up on Games Workshop's website. You can, you
kick us back part of the profit.
We make 10% of your money now. Like anything that you sell, we make 10%.
They both get rich.
And that, I mean, and it's products that GW's not making. So of course somebody's going to go to a third party market. I mean, instead what they do is they're like, well, because of this, we're going to just take the Doom of Malantai out. That's no longer a character, because we made rules for it and didn't have a model. So, of course, people wanted to play with it, and somebody else monetized it. And rather than making the model or buying the model from the guy who came up with it themselves, we're just going to take it out. What?
That's basically what they did with the wreck markers. We didn't have a marker.
What they did with everything that didn't have a model.
Every model there's no longer anything that doesn't, the Necron, sorry. There's some, isn't there like a Necron character or something still?
I think there's one.
That doesn't have a model, but like everyone else who didn't have a model doesn't exist anymore.
And I guarantee either he's going to get a model or he's going to get removed.
It's not going to get a model if it didn't have one.
Yeah,
it just gets taken out. That's how it goes.
It's not a Doom of Malantai model that GW made. It's that, what is it? That new pod model that they came out with.
That was one. They did both. It was the Myopic Spore. They had both.
Oh. But it's not the Doom of Malantai anymore. Like, it no longer has rules.
No, the Doom of Malantai, they put something else in that kind of has a similar rule to it. And they made a model for it or whatever. But it's now
it's not in the original codex though, right? In the original tier 2 codex that came out, Doom of Malantai was not there.
No, it's an add-on. No, but I mean that's the point I'm trying to make, is that rather than being like, hey, because we didn't do this and we're not making the money, we're going to just basically throw a tantrum, take our ball, and go home. Instead, be like, no, hold on, you can use my ball. You can use my ball, but I get to use your ball forever. kind of thing, right? Like, I mean, there's such a better way that they could have done it. But listen, I'm only going from the perspective that I can see, which is the people that I've talked to, the people I interact with, and I don't interact with the higher up people that work at GW or the internal guy there, right?
Well,
I don't see their numbers. So there's a perspective there and that's one of the things that everyone forgets, is that there's a perspective there that everyone that doesn't know.
Speaking of the add-ons that GW's done, to me, all the add-ons are getting confusing. I don't know what's legal, what's supposed to go with the book, what I can bring it. Like, if I wanted to go to a tournament, my head spins, dude.
That's the problem. And that's my problem with anybody who the final say on the fluff player versus the tournament player. There's a happy medium that GW doesn't exist. And so right now the fluff players arguing that everything's hunky dory and they're really happy, and the tournament players wah everything's terrible. Well, the happy medium would be to say, okay, there's a limit. There's some limits of some kind, right? But the problem is that right now GW is like, well, we're a miniature company. We're not a game company. We don't care, and they aren't really anymore. I mean, they really have truly done what they said they were going to do. All of their other little games, with the exception of like Dreadfleet, I guess, right? Dreadfleet and Space Hulk, which they do as limited runs. All those other little games and ideas that they had, they've farmed them out. They've given them over. All the board game style stuff has gone to like Fantasy Flight Games, for instance, or stuff like that. They're not. They have their name, their logo on it or whatever, but it's not their product anymore. They're like, okay, here are the rules for which you can use our fluff and background, but and we get so much of the sale. But and so in that way, they're actually doing what I want them to do with the miniature side of thing. But the problem is that they're now like, well, go forth and enjoy this game. They have it in the rule book. It's the spirit of the game is what they call it, and how they design their rules based on this spirit of the game. Here, I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick. The spirit of the game. Warhammer 40K may be somewhat different. To any other game you've played. Above all, it's important to remember that the rules are just the framework to support an enjoyable game. Whether a battle ends in victory or defeat, your goal should always be to enjoy the journey. What's more, Warhammer 40K calls a lot from you, the player. Your responsibility isn't just to follow the rules; it's also to add your own ideas, drama, and creativity to the game. Much of the appeal of this game lies in the freedom and open-mindedness that this allows. It is in this spirit that the rules have been written. So, I'm fine with that. Whatever. If that's what you want to do, okay, fair enough. But you're going to see people go other places for something more, for something a little bit more structured, and that's exactly where it is. Is that they say bring whatever you want, and now all these cons and tournaments, and whatnot, each individual group has to figure out how they're going to do it, and there's no consensus. There's no, there's some guys have, some of the big tournament type people have tried to come up with a consensus and say, okay, here's how we're going to do it. And if everyone were going to go on, 2 or 3 tournaments or whatnot, or even more, were to get on board and do it the same way, then maybe more people would get on board, and we could have, we could figure out something that was more like it was before. That's what the tournament player wants.
If I may, real quick, Azalea's posted something in there. GW, you're right, Thomas, came out and said we're a modeling company. Privateer Press took advantage of that and made a better rule set. The large majority of my projects over the past year have slowly started decreasing from 40K and GW into other game systems. Like, Privateer Press has grown exponentially. I can't tell you the amount of, when I started a year ago, I had very few Privateer Press projects. To this past week, I had half my inquiries with Privateer Press.
Well, that what you're saying is that the people, the customers that send inquiries to Blue Table Painting.
Yes. This is just the inquiries that I get to Blue Table Painting. Sorry.
All right, and that's fine. That's the exact same thing that I was kind of positing or trying to say there earlier with hey, this is my perspective. The perspective of and that GW has its own perspective. That other countries and other groups have their own perspective. My problem going back to what I was saying just before you brought that up, was that if now the game is set up in such a way that each different group is playing a different game. You're no longer playing the same game with each other. I could go in the same valley, the valley where I live. There's 4 different game stores or something like that. I could go to any one of those different game stores and play it and play 40K differently. And some people would say, well, hey, that's a grand new adventure. What a great thing. How awesome that could be that you could play the game differently or whatever. And to them I say, sure, yeah, that there's definitely some potential for that, and that's great. The problem is, and it's a big problem, is that it's equally likely to go the other way. It's equally likely that you show up and just have an awful experience. And an experience that for some players it ruins the game for them, and therefore GW loses a customer. I don't think that it's a smart play, and to have it to be as wide open as it is, and I definitely think that you can look at some of the policies and the way that they're doing things and look at it in the light of, oh, we're doing this because our shareholders want to make money. Well, I mean that's it right there. A lot of their policies and ideas start to make a lot of sense all of a sudden.
I mean, I just wish that they would condense a lot of their content right now. A lot of their content seems to be just all over the place. I like the original statement when we started talking about this is I don't even know anymore what is like in my codex. Let's say I play the Space Marine codex. Well, now I've got 900 data slates that I can use from and stuff. Are those legal? Is my opponent okay with them? Like, are they officially? Because most players say they want to go buy the rule book. If it's not in the rule book, it's not there. So I hope they condense a lot of it into why are you adding on stuff later on? Why didn't that come out? Because you already had it apparently. Why didn't it just come out in the book?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see that. I think that you're hoping for something you're not going to see. That's just not going to happen.
I mean, yeah, it is probably wishful thinking, but I mean, a lot of the content is cool that GW releases. You brought up a lot of good points on it. I think GW has a lot of resources to make a lot of cool stuff, and it is kind of cool that you can get a different experience. But now the prep time, because you go to a game shop, you shoot in the wind, shoot in the breeze with who's ever there. Now you actually have to shoot the breeze about which rules are accepted, which people which I guess data slates are okay. You don't know if you're coming into someone else's meta. You don't want to be that guy.
I don't know. I mean, I think that some people enjoy that. More outgoing people can enjoy that and can deal with it, and other people won't.
Which rules are accepted.
Oh, crap. I got to mute the thing. Sorry.
You really do, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Report Thomas. Reported.
Everything is better.
Good.
Reported.
If I may interject something real quick.
You may not.
Well, I'm going to anyway because it's my show.
How do
I have the control of the mute button on the Skype. But anyway, back in the day.
I want my company back.
What is
Thomas,
an ad playing there? I hear
Yeah,
that ad for that hip hop show.
It wouldn't stop. I was like I muted volume, and it was awful. It was terrible.
Yeah. So back in the day, right? The only time I ever played Warhammer was when I went to my buddy's house, and we'd play. We'd play at his house, we'd play at my house, whatever. I only played with these same people. And back then, there wasn't anything in the rule book about, bring whatever you want, and as far as I can recall. But all I had to do was go to him and say, hey, how many points do you want to play? Oh, this many. Oh, you want to use, the brand new army you just started plus some of your old stuff? Sure. Play Space Marines and Necrons. I'll play just my whatever. We didn't need GW to tell us that we could do that. If we were doing that, we were already doing it.
Do you think the rule set opened it up to people? Do you think people are doing it now because GW said it was okay?
I'm
sure it did.
I think it certainly gave certain people that would look to exploit things like that the excuse.
But I'm not talking about casual games. That's what I'm talking about. Casual games actually. Is how many people use it?
So people. What it did is that if people. Hey, I'm talking, boy. People.
That's Thomas's son, everyone.
Yeah. He wants to be on the show.
if you had a group of gamers who wouldn't let you watch or wouldn't let you play with your models, well, now you can look at the rules and say, hey, I get to.
Yeah.
How many people actually turned people away, though? I mean, in my years of tabletop gaming, I've never seen somebody turned away.
That's where it goes back to what I was saying before, which is
Never.
there's a certain decorum that you have when you go to a game store, and a certain way that a certain set of expectations or whatever, and that's where I have a problem with the way things are set up right now, without a balance. And if they chose one or the other, if they said, okay, my rule set is more balanced, well, okay, then it means that this awful, super powerful thing that they brought that I've never heard of before, it's not the end of the world. Or vice versa. There's nothing that's awful, super, over-the-top powerful. And if you look at and this goes back to, you talking about the Blood Angels, well, we're consistently seeing the regular codex that have come out in 7th edition, they're getting blandified, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not really bringing new models out. All of the kind of weird, janky rules that each of them had individually are disappearing. Everything that any ability that they might have is pretty much a universal special rule. So in a way that they are doing that, I just don't see them actually doing it with Forge World, for instance.
Well, there was a rumor that GW was going to merge Fantasy and 40K into the same rulebook. That was a rumor that you could mix and match the rules from both of them.
That's not gonna happen.
I think the rumor there was that they were going to bring Fantasy more and the 40K rules more in lines with you learned one, you kind of already knew the other, but they were never going to play against each other.
No, I don't mean play against each other, but I mean like the rule set, like the special rules, the universal special rules were all going to be the same. Like armor bane and armor piercing.
But what you said was that they were going to be able to play against each other. Is how you said it.
Oh, I apologize. I did not mean that in that sense. Well, I read that rumor a couple places. Obviously, I thought it was a long shot. I did not actually ever believe in that rumor, but I thought it was, GW. The more I learned about GW so far, the more I've actually kind of thought maybe they might to try to sell more fantasy models.
No, there's no way that they're gonna. I don't know. I mean, they're slowly shooting themselves in the foot, right? But I mean,
that would be a big shoot. I mean,
but if you look at the numbers, right? This is supported by numbers. Last year, Warhammer Fantasy was less than 10% of their sales. Ouch. Like Space Marine tactical or Space Marine models. Like I think it was something like, and then they also said something like Wood Elf models, like more Space Marine tactical squads sold than all of their Wood Elf models together last year.
Oh.
So I don't think that they're going to shoot themselves in the foot that way. But I could be wrong, right? I mean...
what do you mean, shoot themselves in the foot in what way?
That they would,
that they would be like, oh, to make more fantasy sales, we're going to make fantasy part of 40K.
Oh
now.
Yeah, no, that's never going to happen. They'll make the fantasy rules more, in line with quote unquote 40K, so that if you learn 40K, you can just kind of jump into fantasy and buy more models to play fantasy.
Well, are they just going to get rid of fantasy? I mean, if 10%, less than 10% of your entire sales is fantasy, that's a dying business right there. That's a dead weight that you're chugging around.
I don't know how. I mean, still 10% of your sales, right? But then again, there is this argument that tournament players make that they're 10% of DW sales. So I don't know. I have no idea, man.
I mean, that's kind of my point. Is like, where is the direction heading now? Like,
we'll just have to wait and see. This is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that I love Space Marines and I love the Warhammer 40K fluff. I love Warhammer Fantasy fluff. When they brought out the End Times Elf book, man, I was like, who's going to die? Oh my goodness, right? Because I'm way into that. That was when I was 12 years old. I started playing this game and I played Wood Elves. I used to have the old Ariel model when she was a playable character.
Oh man, that's fun. Oh wait, Ariel, the
Ariel,
Everqueen.
the Everqueen.
Yep.
She's
Not
back,
ever.
She's playable.
back for high elves now,
She's back.
and she's broken.
Not her. Ariel. Ariel, as in the avatar of Isha, the wood elf goddess.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Never mind.
Yeah, I had her. She was giant. She was like this giant elf chick with wings. It was like a giant, pastel kind of butterfly.
Right. Naturally.
Anyway, I'm gonna, for all of the things that I can complain about, I'm gonna continue to complain about them because I love it, because I love what it is, right?
Of course, you want it to be better. You want your experience to be the best.
Right. And so at the end of the day, I have only hope that GW will continue to bring out really cool models, and that
I mean, to be fair, the Blight King models that they just brought out and the new Vermin Lords for Skaven, I mean, this is a Warhammer Fantasy thing, but those models look incredible.
I heard
Yes.
complaints in the studio about the Vermin Lord models looking like Beastman stuff.
It could look like some Beastman stuff, but if you're just a modeling company, from a modeling perspective, they look insane.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I don't like giant rats, but
You can see how somebody else would like that, right?
yeah, that's great. Great for them. I mean, if they ever brought out Harud for 40K, I think I would probably. I mean, I would have an army. I would have a new enemy to hate on more than I hate on.
Ready? This is Thomas's favorite thing right here.
But
Hating on demons, or more than hating on whatever's the broken thing. Oh, here's the other rumors too. There's rumors right now that they're bringing out that 40K is getting a new book. So
like a new army faction completely.
yeah, and it's gonna
See, that's the rumor I was talking about 2 weeks ago, John. Like, who was it that was getting it?
Mechanicum.
be if the rumors are true, it's gonna be Mechanicum. Though more recently we've seen this Harlequin stuff, so maybe it's gonna be Harlequins.
What's the book supposed to? Do you have any rumors, like what the rule set's supposed to be?
It's just gonna be Mechanicum. It's gonna be they're gonna have like Skitarii, and they're gonna have access to all kinds of Mechanicum weapons that other groups don't. I assume that at least some of the stuff's gonna be very, they'll probably be able to
I
have.
want to see walkers. Like, that'd be cool to do a walker army.
Yeah, well, if they made walkers decent, it could be cool.
No, I mean, like, from a modeling perspective, just having a whole army of, like, guys, like, in small battle suits, like, walkers, like, mini walkers, and then you have the giant walkers, and...
They're called Centurions, dude.
I was gonna say they're called Knobs in Mega Armor and Death Dreads and Killican.
The way I'm picturing it in my head, it's like mini
Stampas
versions
and
of
Morkanauts and Gorkanauts.
I mean, okay, I guess
Got it, brah.
Wait, is the Harlequins part of the Adeptus Mechanicus Skitarii?
No. They're going to be their own thing. What I'm saying is that Mechanicum was the rumors, and then more recently, like the last week, we've daily almost been seeing more stuff about Harlequins. So maybe the Mechanicus stuff is not true, and because right now they're bringing it out Forge World bringing it out for 30K, and in fact, it's just Harlequins, and that was the quote-unquote new faction that 40K was getting.
I've always been advocating for one of the games to get a panda race, because I like the Mr. Pandaria pandas.
There's so much respect I just lost for you. It's ridiculous.
You don't like the panda models? I'm not saying Mr. Pandaria is the greatest expansion ever. I'm saying I like the panda models from WoW.
You know what? I play WoW right now, and every time I see a monk, I hate life.
Why?
Monks, okay. A lot of people hated on that really quick. Wow. A lot of people really hated on that expansion. I do think that visually there's some really cool stuff, and there's some really fun. Those are some really fun instances. That being said, it's not the pandas that make it. It's not the pandas that make me like it. It's the fact that there's like this very Oriental theme to it, and there's a instance right now. It's called Brewmaster something or other. I don't know. It's a level 86 instance or something like that. If you've ever heard of the Miyazaki Miyazaki did like Princess Mononoke and some other big ones like that. Spirited Away movies, those animated movies that like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you go in and do that. You go in and you do that instance. It's like you were playing World of Warcraft in a Miyazaki film. That was the feeling that I got when I played that instance, and it was fun. But yeah, I've lost a lot of respect for you. Not really, Steve. I'm joking. I really don't like pandas, and I think that would be a terrible race to bring out. I'd almost rather see Harud.
Well, see, that's the thing is I like the panda idea or something along that line. I thought beastmen were pretty cool, so I thought you could maybe incorporate like newer like bear races, like maybe like polar bears and stuff. I don't know. Get crazy with it. We're in a fantasy made-up world. Don't hate on my ideas.
And what, they just appeared out of nowhere? They haven't mentioned the fluff forever.
Yeah, exactly. They're not in the fluff, and then just randomly they just come in the fluff. Just like that.
Well, that's not the best. That's like people's complaints about Empire Demigryph Knights. They weren't anywhere in the fluff. Just kind of appear. Like, we've had this the whole
really
time.
Matter to the game in the models? Does that really matter?
It's all they have left.
Just from the modeling perspective, not even taking the game rules into it. If I want to make a really cool model, do I really care about the fluff behind it? Like it's not been there?
The problem is that there are lots of people who are very interested in the fluff, and you've actually seen GW go the opposite way in some ways. Like both with Forge World's 30K, which is a huge seller for them, by the way, and also one of the successful pieces of their business. So you can expect to see more of that. And then the other thing too is that a lot of the recycled ideas from older editions, recycled models, older ideas like that. GW is going back to that stuff and bringing more stuff out like that because it was in their past fluff, and because players can't necessarily have as much of a problem from that perspective.
Can't you create new fluff though? I mean, going along those lines.
They put themselves into a corner. Like look at end times. Look at end times for fantasy, right? There are people who love that and think it's so cool, and there are people who hate it. They hate it. They viciously hate it. Because you're killing off my character, blah, 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 And both ways are valid viewpoints, even though I just said blah, blah, blah like that. They're both valid viewpoints. The problem is that GW should have, and didn't, but should have, 20 years ago, not started with, it's the end of times and everything is awful, and instead been like, okay, we're going to start 5,000 years from the end of times and be able to write ourselves forward and have 5,000 years worth of stuff to write. But
you're kind of right. They're kind of painting themselves into a corner on those issues. But I mean, you can always write yourself out of it. You can change how you have the option of how the future goes.
I mean, that's kind of what they're doing with End Times of Fantasy. There was some rumors that they were going to do a similar End Times arc type thing for 40K. Kind of shake everything up and change the fluff a little.
Man, this is crazy on the chat. Like, I said I like the visual aspect of Mists of Pandaria, and all of a sudden, I love Mists of Pandaria.
Yeah.
It's alright. You're a panda lover.
I do, man. Those panda monks were so cool looking, especially with the circle hats on, man. Oh, dude, that was
free for pandas.
Free the pandas, bro. Free the pandas. Honestly, I'm not saying I love the entire aspect of Mists of Pandaria. I'm specifically saying that I like the visual aspect of Mists of Pandaria. I thought panda monks were pretty cool visually to see, especially the brewmasters with like the ale strapped on their back. I thought that was so cool to look at. But no, I do not love Mists of Pandaria. I'm not the WoW fanboy.
You are.
Quiet, Thomas. You and your loving of you've already switched over to Warmachine. We're gonna convert you. We're getting you that Menoth tattoo next week.
Nah, but you know what? What's funny is that I do like the rule set. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to play in a tournament because my models are made out of GW models.
I mean, you may never play a tournament, but if you're having fun and you're getting your fix out of it, that's why I like playing Warmachine. Is I like the game. I'm a gamer more than a modeler. So when it came down to it, I picked a better rule set. That's why I picked Warmachine. I like playing the game. I like thinking in strategic and advanced chess.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I mean, I'm not knocking GW. I used to be in 5th and 6th edition.
No, you're not going to really be able to see this.
Oh,
Oh,
There
look at that.
oh, that's awesome.
Oh,
That's
hold
my-
on, hold on.
It's on
I'm missing
stream,
it.
everyone.
I'm missing it. Is that your Krios?
That's Krios.
Nice.
That looks insane.
His armor, yes, he even has the base.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Awesome, dude.
So
I love
he's
it.
got himself a little flail here.